Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. I just put one up over on Patreon about gunfighting. For those of you who are interested in that, I'm headed down into the city to do something, and it reminded me of a video that I've been meaning to do for a while. Actually, I was reminded the other day about how city people are going to be eaten. I tell you what I mean by that. And I mean, not just figured, very possibly literal. We ran down to Tulsa the other day, just ran down for the day, and to do some things, to do some research, actually, for me to do some research on the new book, and for the kids to play. And there's a cool little playground now, well, not a little big playground down there along the river called the Gathering Place. And when we go to Tulsa, we stop by there, let them run around and play for a Let's Cool Place. And as I watched the crowds, let me say, there were some interesting people. Really interesting people. By the way, if you will ever go to Tulsa and you haven't been there, make sure you take plenty of quarters. I've never seen so many toll roads in my life. And I thought I was in Chicago with all the toll roads. Everywhere I wanted to go, I had to put a toll in someplace. And and they don't have toll collectors. They just have a little basket you throw the money in, and they need exact change. They can't take a debit card, a credit card, anything like that. You got to have exact change. And some of them were 95 cents. I don't keep a bunch of change in my vehicle because I can't stand the rattling around. And whenever I get home at the end of the day, I dump my pockets and all the change goes in a jar. So I don't have, the only reason I carry quarters is to go to Aldi, in case I want to get a basket, right? But I don't carry quarters because I didn't intend to go to Aldi when I was in Tulsa. I don't even know where the Tulsa Aldi is. And I don't need those things that you buy in, truck stop. Anyway, I got to one after we'd paid scraping quarters and nickels and dimes, and then I put 95 cents in one, and it wouldn't lighten up green and let me go, and so I threw in another dime, which made it $1.05. Then it let me go. So apparently it was some kind of secret kind of correct change that only they understand. Then I got it to another one. And had these toll booths that they look like they're out of service. I got to one, I didn't know if it was in service or not. Kept pulling up, looking for quarters, and finally I just went right through it. An alarm went off, so I'm waiting for my ticket to mail from the Tulsa PD or the Oklahoma Highway Patrol or something, telling me that I blew their 95 cent toll. Probably charged me $100 for that. Anyway, to go to Tulsa, be careful about that. Matter of fact, my second son said that we should call it Tulsa because there are so many stinking tolls. Anyway, I like Oklahomans, but man, your toll roads suck. That reminded me of when I was going to do this one a couple of months ago when we were down doing Christmas lights, or actually when I was taking the lights off the house that we do down in the city. I don't do any business really. I don't like to do business in the city. We pretty much keep our business out in the far suburbs because of the nature of the business that we're in. But we were an existing customer recommended us to somebody, and because it was a friend of theirs, we did it. I went back down into the city in an area that I used to run around a lot when I was in my teens and early 20s. It used to be a really cool part of town. If for those of you who are familiar with Kansas City, it's the Brookside area. It used to be a beautiful area, really, really nice. But I saw something. I saw a difference in the people from when I had been down there. Now, city people used to be tough. I mean, they were tough. The city has always been kind of a jungle, and you've had to have a certain kind of awareness and toughness to be able to survive in the city. And there was, something called street smarts. If you were from the city, you were tough, you were street smart. Didn't mean you weren't good, didn't mean you weren't nice. Most people in the city are not active predators. Let me put it that way. Many people in the city are potential predators, and I mean the nice people that you have to be. But for those people who have that predatory mindset, which means you're always aware that somebody might be, getting one over on you or trying to get one over on you, it's not dangerous. It's really not. People think about the city as being a dangerous place. And it is for those without the right mindset. Just like the jungle is dangerous for the prey. Okay? But the jungle, for the most part, is not dangerous to the predator. Now, there's always that apex predator, that pretty much eats everything else. But, the crocodile, the anaconda, and the jaguar, they're not afraid of anything because they're out there eating, hunting other things, and everything else is afraid of them. And occasionally one of them comes across the other one, and one of them wins and one of them dies. So that's kind of what the city's always been like. That most people were very street smart, even the women, even the girls. Didn't mean they were bad, just meant they were ready. Well, I saw something entirely different when I was down in Brookside in Kansas City, and I saw the same thing in Tulsa. I saw throngs of people that were the most clueless people I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I could tell. I could tell because I'm a street guy. I'm a city guy. I can tell by looking at people's eyes whether they're ready or not, and they are not. They were the most open-faced, vacuous-looking people, just wandering through life, wide open. Not to. I don't want to offend anybody by saying this, but it's how small town people would look when they came to the big city years ago. Kansas City used to have the Future Farmers of America convention at the American Royal every year, and you'd see these fresh-faced kids come into town looking at the big buildings, and I mean they were a lot of them were victimized when they came to town. They didn't make any issue. I even saw it in a lot of the highway patrol guys when they would come to town for security on some things. These guys, good guys, tough guys, but they were used to the country, and they'd come into the city and go, "Oh my God, what is this?" Well, this is a, and again, I don't mean to offend anybody. It's not mine. Different places have different ways, and this was the kind of look that I see in these people down in the city now, and that I saw in Tulsa. And it's kind of a big gentrification of the cities. They're full of, and again, not my purpose to offend anybody, was full of liberals who thinks that, who think they are citizens of the world, that the world is just one big nice place, or should be, I'd like to buy the world a Coke, that kind of thing, and all about virtue signaling, and all about diversity is good, and all about equity. These people, fuzzy socks and Birkenstocks, these people are just living in a dream, a rainbow dream. And when I looked at these, I couldn't believe how much the city had changed. These people, I told Kelly, if everything went to pot, if everything went like it's in my books, and I write about some of this stuff in my books, these people would be eaten. They would be. These are the kind of people who have enabled the people who will eat them, because they're are there are predators still in the city, plenty of them, but they're the ones that these people won't recognize as predators because they'll be called something bad. You get my meaning? And they're just waiting. It's like a feedlot. Okay? It's like a feedlot. And they will be slaughtered, they will be enslaved, and they will be eaten. Those who have something to trade, those who have something to give. I mentioned slavery the other day, and it's the truth. Those who have something that the predators can use or want, they'll be slaves. They will be slaves. And I'll give you a minute to think about what that might entail. I don't want to get too graphic on here. I intend to get graphic on one in the future about what kind of slavery you might expect, but not on this one. Ooh, it's raining hard. I love these days. But they will be. There will be enslavement, and the others will be eaten. Now, there are some groups in the city that will survive, and they will do very well. These are the predators. And I write about that, I think, in my second or third book, although I think the dynamics will be changing sometime in the future. So, I just wanted to talk about this and explain that. We see the cities now full of soft people when they didn't used to be. And we used to go to a city and man, it was hard beyond hard, and it was brutal, and it was animalistic. There are still those in the city, not as many as there were, because a lot of them have been replaced by these little mealy-mouthed, namby-pamby victims in waiting. Think the world is just a good place. Kind of reminds me, did you remember that guy? It's been several years. I think it was during Obama's term. Some guy was robbed by some street thugs and said that he wasn't going. It wasn't around here in Kansas City, but it doesn't matter. Said that he wasn't going to press charges because he felt that he deserved to be robbed because of his privilege. And we know what kind of privilege he's talking about, right? Because of his privilege, he had been so privileged all of his life. It wasn't these thugs' fault that they robbed him. He understood their position perfectly, and he didn't blame them at all because he really felt he probably deserved to be robbed. That kind of thinking is going to get you eaten, buddy. Or worse. Okay, just thought I'd share that with you because the cities are going to be really interesting places. I mean, even more than they are now. They're getting really interesting. I have to go down to the city next week for something. Maybe I'll take you all for a spin, a kind of a ride with me into the city. For those of you who don't get into the city much, kind of like going to the zoo, you know. And you go, oh my gosh, what's that? And I have to be honest, I feel very comfortable in the city. The city is my jungle. I like it. I love it. I like it. Isn't that a Tim McGraw song? I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. I have to keep myself out of the city sometimes simply because, you know, I got a wife and kids. I can't have the fun that I used to have. But I tell you, the days are coming where fun could be had again. All right, I'll let it go with that. It's going to be interesting. You all have a good day. Remember, we prepare well today in order to live well. And preparing well today is having a good and realistic understanding of the world around you. Talk to you all later.